go ahead.
Because then I don't hear myself now. Okay, so we are Solar Power Europe, the association of the solar sector in Europe. We're representing around 320 organizations across the value chain, from silicon to deployment, from small companies to big utilities. And we work closely with 30 national associations, mostly in Europe, obviously, and also with the Greek Solar Association. So we are based in Brussels, and we are trying to get the best for solar in terms of legislation. Okay, so a little bit on technology and how the sector is doing. So just 10 minutes to kickstart. So again, 2023 was a record for solar. Installed over 60 gigawatt, first time ever. The market has been growing dramatically over the last years, from between 40 and 50%, last year doubling. The reason was mostly driven by the energy crisis and the fear of people for blackouts, which has been unseen in Europe so far mostly. That has changed a lot. So if we look at our market outlook, we see that the market in solar is stabilizing for this year. And I think we have a pretty good overview now after 3 quarters are done. We anticipate only 5% market growth and low two-digit growth numbers for the coming years. The reason is obvious. So I think the electricity energy prices have returned back to normal, sometimes even than before or due. And so the driver is not so much anymore. That brings us almost to a problem, because we need to install at least 60 or 60 gigawatt DC in average for the coming years in order to meet the 750 gigawatt DC target of the EU Commission. So we believe it's possible, but there are some challenges, and we see problems with the grid, problems with flexibility, and problems with electricity consumption. Also an important trend to look at, while the market in Europe was mostly dominated by rooftops in the past, dramatically by rooftops in the past, that is changing now. Demand is moving more towards the ground-mounted segment, so that towards 2030 we see an almost 50-50 market. So that means the rooftop segment increases from roughly 2/3 market share last year to around 50% by the end of this decade. So what's the reason? As I've already mentioned, we've seen the challenging with purchasing power. Energy costs have come down. Inflation has been high. It's coming down now, but that plays even more into the hands of utility scale so that they can invest and or get investors invest also in solar systems. There's political uncertainty, grid connection issues, even on the rooftop side. Utility side, also some challenges, but nevertheless more opportunities, because costs of equipment have come down dramatically, and the popularity of PPAs is increasing on the one hand, but there's also a lot of tenders in many countries, and solar has become often the lowest cost technology. Next one. Quickly coming also to battery storage, which is more and more important. If you look at certain markets in the rooftop segment, you have attachment rates like in Germany of over 80% for behind the meter. And that was also the driver of for this battery sector in the past. So most of the systems in the past were residential systems. 60% in 2022, 2023, 70%. And the market has been also doubling over the last few years. Unlike in solar, we continue to see the market grow with average growth rates of 30-40% in the coming years. As of this year, it's flipping. Utility scale solar is becoming bigger. Residential is losing in shares. That will continue while the C&I market that has been not so strong and rather a niche market is growing in the coming years. Quickly on prices, we've seen prices across the solar module chain decreasing over the last 2 years due to huge overcapacities in China, where most of the products are coming from. Last year, prices for modules were 50% down. And this year, year to date, this is on the big table, you see price index from yesterday. Module prices towards the bottom are also up to 30% down year to date. These are Chinese prices. You see that for silicon wafers, cell, everything prices down. But the same is also true, of course, in Europe. And here you see in the lower left table, module prices on the distributor level in Europe. And here prices are higher efficient technologies down 40%. For low-cost modules, sometimes still on inventory, also down close to 30%. Quickly on technology, what's happening, we've also seen that in previous presentations, there has been a dramatic development in the technologies in solar. We have been moving from PERC to TOPCon. You can see here in the table that the ITRP, that's the International Technology Roadmap, assumes that close to 50%, so first time ever, TOPCon will dominate the market. But I believe that is already too conservative. When we look at the big companies this year, probably TOPCon will have a 70% market share, and it will be even more. So TOPCon is a new nanotechnology. There's an interesting thing happening in solar at the moment. Companies do have IP, and they are also now claiming their IP. There's a lot of lawsuits going on in the sector. In the US, that means, for example, there is a renaissance in manufacturing, that companies start actually their productions not with the latest technology, TOPCon, but mostly PERC, to avoid conflicts in that field. If we look at efficiencies, you also see efficiencies continuously increasing. Efficiency is the key driver to get, on the one hand, down, which is so important. Today, basically no module manufacturer makes today's prices actually profits. So the profits must come from different businesses. And in order to get into the profit zone, because at the moment, nobody really sees if that prices are going up, unless there is some protection measures, like in the US, where there's only a limited amount of or certain modules getting into the market. You do see actually that that efficiencies are going up with better technologies. So we do see here at the moment efficiencies in the range of 23%. The best module efficiencies that are out in the market have already increased 24%, and we're going further up year on year. We, or at least experts, expect a technology change in 2026 when we're leaving the single junction technology field and tandem technologies. So that means two layers of different technologies, often silicon with perovskite, come into the play. We see a couple of companies already in the market positioning themselves, but experts expect this segment to become really visible in 2026 and bring then the efficiency front to the next level, and then hopefully cost also further down, which will help companies to maneuver better in this difficult cost environment. Quickly on solutions, we see in the market the need for new technologies because topics like biodiversity, land use become an issue. So agriculture, float are really hot topics, and we are working hard on legislation support schemes set for the technologies. Maybe I think one final slide, which illustrates the key challenges for solar. We need to further grow electrification, but electrification is stable in Europe for the last 5 years. For that reason, there is a challenge because we want to reach 55%, but we are only at around 23% now, and over 60% in 2050. So in order to get there, we need great investment and flexibility, which is also not advancing as fast as we need. And on this slide, you can see how many times we have negative prices in Europe, with events have been increasing.
Μάλλον υπάρχει κάποιο τεχνικό θέμα. Mr. Schmela, okay.
Just overview.
Thank you.
What's happening.